Okay guys, welcome to the redo. Hopefully I got this done right the first time, but this is Tech Time with WLJK. Many of you have asked many questions about how I do stuff and whatnot in the recording, so here we are with the redo, seeing that the past couple tries did not work, of Tech Time with WLJK, and this is part one, the hardware. So in this section I'm going to explain the hardware that I have that I use, how it's hooked up. As for the software part, that'll be part two. But this is just going to give you the basic idea of what hardware I use. I'm not going to go over the webcam because webcams are pretty much straightforward. Anything dealing with the webcam itself will be dealt in the software section. So, yeah. So here we go on with the hardware. Okay, guys, first up on the hardware side of the entire setup. Um, Now, don't get me wrong here. The stats I'm showing here is my personal computer. You can run your Hauppauge and your recording on a notebook if it's a good enough notebook, not a netbook. Um, but this just gives you an idea what my settings are, because I know a lot of people, there's been people in the past asked, how do you turn on record so well? You know, you must have a beast machine and this and that. And usually I turn around and leave a comment and stuff, but this gives you guys an idea of actually what the system is. Um, as you can see up here with my performance index. Now, something funny I got to mention about this. I ran this performance index, and my processor and my memory have always been 7.3. Um, the video cards were like 6.9, and the hard drive was like 5.3, and that's what turned around and slowed me down. So this right here always slowed me down. Now, the thing is, I put a solid state drive in. This brought this up to 7.3. So you had 7.3, 7.3, 6.9, then 7.3. Now, I did not change anything with my video card. Not a thing. I installed a new update for the drivers, and it made it 7.7. Just the drivers. I don't know if it unlocked my video card, which is a 6850, if it unlocked and made it run like a 6870. I do not know. It's a possibility. Who knows? But anyway, you have, in my system, it's just a 4-core 3.2 gigahertz. It don't show the gigahertz on this screen. That's a sad thing. And like I said, I build my own system, so I got a 4-core 3.2 gigahertz processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 64-bit operating system. Total of 1.3 terabytes. Right here. 1.3 terabytes. Now that's a little confusing because my main drive is only 120 gig SSD. My D drive here is a 300 gig regular hard drive. This is my actual true CD DVD. This is a virtual CD DVD because I do occasionally work with files making virtual ISOs and stuff. It's real nice, especially when I can turn around and just bring up an ISO of a image of my system into this and copy the one file I need instead of installing the whole thing again. And then, of course, my 1 terabyte drive, which comes out to be 932 gig after formatting. Now, when I play Minecraft, Minecraft is played off of the C drive. The recording program is running off the C drive also, but it saves to my Z drive. Otherwise, you would have the game, Windows, the recording software, and reading the drive at the same time it's trying to save So I have it go off, save off onto a separate drive. And this here, you know, the video card, 68, like I said, it's a 6850. It says total available graphics memory is like almost 5 gig. Well, a gig of that is on the card itself. The other almost 4 gig is actually something that's neat with AMD cards. If you have an AMD based motherboard that has onboard ATI or AMD graphics, it'll actually share the memory that it would need for the onboard with the actual video cards, their Hydra system. As you can see here, 1080p monitor, and then a lowly weird oddball 5x4 resolution. When I went from the second monitor, which was my original monitor, and then I bought this other monitor hooked up, I'm like, oh my god, what a difference. But that's the computer. Next, I'm going to turn on, pause this, and set up the recording for the next item, which is the mixer, and we shall explain what goes on with that. Okay guys, now with the mixer, and you can tell I'm actually videotaping this as I'm going live, and I hope the audio is okay. I turned around and did a little tweaking on this last night because I found out that even though I got professional mic, it was sort of sounding tinny. I don't know if it was because I wasn't aimed directly at talking directly into the mic, or because it was slightly angled up, or whatever. But it might be because of this. Let me click this off. Okay, we'll try that. So basically, and where'd my pointer go? I had a pointer, and it was a rather good pointer to use. I do not know where it went. I just had it. I was using it last night. Okay, anyway, we'll have to find something else to point with. We'll use the end of this because it's a little bit more contrast. Okay, so here you have my mixer. And pardon my pointer. This is actually better than the pointer I was using. But what you have, this is a Behringer 502. Now, it's the 502 means 5 inputs, 2 outputs. So technically you have 4 outputs, but what it's talking about is the inputs up here, because you got one for a mic, either a professional mic here or a balanced mic. So that's one. Then you got a left and right and a left and right. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that's your outputs. Okay. Technically, this is also an output. I'll explain all this here in a second. So you get the microphone in, comes in. Now, PC stuff. I'll explain the little travel of the electrons, we shall say, of the sound. I'm recording PC games. My voice comes in through the mic, obviously. Goes through the mixer, and comes out through this little cable, these 2 little RCA jacks right here, this black one and red one. Hooks into a headphone jack that hooks into the line in of the PC sitting next to it. That's pretty rudimentary, simple. I can adjust, you know, my gain, my volume, balance it left and right if I want, which is kind of funny seeing it's a mono input, but I can balance it left and right here. So that takes care of all this. Now, console gaming, that's where it gets a little bit more complicated. So you have these gold connectors here. The gold connectors, these 2 RCAs, are hooked into a 90-degree connector or adapter, which is like this. See RCA on that end, 1/4-inch headphone jack on this end. Okay. Now, I'm going to leave until the tip time to explain something with those. But for right now, we're just going to continue chugging on. So these are inputs. You might go, okay, these are coming from the 360. No. The inputs, which I will describe in the hodgepodge section, are actually from the TV. The outputs here, the white cables, actually go to the Hauppauge. Now, when I'm recording the audio for gaming console game playthrough, I have to disconnect the headphone jack on this. There's just a little, I would move this wire and pull it up, but you're going to get a blue light of death. I'll give you a little hint because it is a rather, there we go. That's just the corner of the LED. That sucker is bright. That little blue LED will practically light up my desk when I shut my lights off. But there, it just goes from 2 RCA to a 1/8 headphone jack down here. Then there's a cable going from here to there. I just disconnect that cable. If I don't do that, I get an echo for some reason. I'm still looking into it. I think there's just a setting in there that's wonky. But that is how those hook up. So with the PC, it's my voice coming through the mixer, leaving in what they call the CD tape mix output. With console, and then to the PC. With the console, it's going microphone in, mixing with the audio in, and then going out to the Hauppauge with this whole section down here disconnected. Now, nice thing is I can actually technically now just hit this button right here and it'll shut off the mix of this. So, but that is the mixer. Next, it's going to take me a moment or two. I'm actually going to do this a little differently than I've been trying. I'm going to pull out the Hauppauge and explain the setup with that. Okay, guys. Now, real quick to the PC. The reason why I said you don't need a high end that you can do on a notebook if you are recording console. The reason why I say you can do it with a notebook if you really wanted to or needed to is because of this wonderful little creation. And pardon me bumping my mic. And I had somebody make a comment, wow, it's a big mic. The mic's actually not that big. It's a standard performance microphone. It just has the foam windbreaker on it, which adds like an inch thickness to it. So it's just a standard microphone. But because of the Hauppauge, all of your rendering is actually done on this. With the rendering done through this and then converted and then sent to your computer only thing that controls this is turning it on and saving the file and telling it how to save it. That's all it does. Okay. And I apologize for the real brightness here. For some reason it's really bright. I don't know why. But this is the Hauppauge. Now, for those who are recording 360 and PS3, it's pretty much straightforward. For those recording Wii, you're really going to want to buy the HD cables for the Wii, which don't really make it HD. They're actually component cables because of this reason. I do not use any of these front ports. I might later on for, if I decide to do some retro stuff for the PS2, I'll plug the PS2 in here. Other than that, I'm not going to use them. But on the back, this, and as I turn around and do this like this, trying to find the right angle. Here, let me turn this a little, there we go. That's a little better. Now, I'll zoom in here so you can see the whole setup here. On the bottom, and I'm doing this wrong, this side, here we go. On the bottom here, you have your inputs. Up above that, you have your outputs. You don't have to worry about this for console recording because you can't have this go through the mixer. Then you got your USB and your power. Thing with the USB, they give you, I think it's like a 6 or 8 foot cord. If you need a longer cord, you can either turn around and try to find an extension, but make sure it is USB 2.0 compliant. I bought an extension, low cost extension. It said it was 2.0. I looked at it. I was iffy. I'm like, it's not that expensive. I plugged it in. It's not. it wouldn't let the Hauppauge talk to the PC. So either find yourself an extension, or if it's more cost effective, turn around and buy a longer cable. Just make sure it has a USB-B on this end for this end and a USB-A for your PC. So now with the connections, okay. Now, I'm sorry I'm not showing this with wiring, but I think you can sort of understand the way I describe this. So you have, with your inputs, and I'm trying to get this so it's a little, there we go. With the inputs, and give me a second here. Let's zoom in one more click. There we go. Matter of fact, let's go 2. There we go. That's a little better. It's a little bright, but I'm right in front of my monitor. So you got your red, blue, and green, and then you got left and right audio. Now your cable for, now I'm speaking for the 360. The PS3, I've seen the cable. It looks very similar, so you can get the gist of it. If you look at the high definition cable, it will have a red, a blue, and a green connector. Those get plugged right into this. Now your audio does not get plugged into this. Your audio from that cable, you might have to buy a coupler that's got an RCA connector on both ends, depending on how close you are to your TV, and run the audio straight to your TV audio input, and then it would be plugged in next to where these 3 connectors, which are your outputs, are plugged into. So you would have your console coming here to these connectors, then to the TV you would have these 3 connectors plus the 2 audio connectors that come from the console. Now you're going, okay, well, where's the mixer come in? Okay, the audio that goes into your TV, 99% of your TVs, your HD TVs, have at least a headphone jack output. Mine has a headphone jack and a audio output for going to a stereo. So I have the gold-plated connectors from the mixer video are hooked from that output to the mixer, and then those white cables that were to output come right here. So your video is going through this to the TV. Your audio is going from the TV through the mixer back to this. So there's nothing hooked to the audio outputs. These 2 ports you don't even use. Okay, so just once again, to the TV, or no, sorry, from the console to the TV, and then the audio's to the TV through the mixer into the back of this. Now, there is, and I'll zoom this back out, there is a slight, very, very, very minute slight delay in the audio. I've played it, tried playing Call of Duty with it, and I didn't notice a major enough difference that would cause me a problem. Now the advantage is my 360 has not only the old 360s, let's put it this way, the old 360s, when you had to use that HD TV cable, you had a choice between analog out and digital out. With the new 360s, the Slims, the digital port is built into the 360. So I can run, I'm pretty sure I can run both the digital and the analog at the same time, because it's not going through the digital doesn't have to be switched through that dongle. So if that's the case, if I really needed true 100% right there sound, I could put my Turtle Beach surround sound headphones on and hook it to the digital out. But yeah, so that's the hardware. Hopefully that helped out a little bit. I'm sorry I couldn't show the actual wiring because it is so cramped and tight, and where my Hauppauge sits, I would have to put like 2 flashlights in to try to figure out and show you guys how to do it, because everything's in a cabinet practically. I will, and this is going to be for the tip section, I'll just let this slip a little bit. I am going out and getting new cables. So when I get the new cables, I'll do a little bit better explanation if you guys want it. I'll shoot it if you guys want it. I'll post it as a subpart to this, because I don't know if I'm going to get the cables today or if it's going to be later this week. Right now I'm waiting for the store to open. That's always fun. So with the hardware section done, actually it's not done yet. I mentioned that I have my wife's old laptop. It's up and running right now. It's sitting here. The actual second monitor I use as a sub monitor. I can switch back and forth between my this PC with my what do you call them, meters, and my performance graphs running. That's how I know I'm getting good internet connection, because I got that up there. I always watch that. As soon as I get a problem on YouTube, I'm like, oh, okay, internet's being derpy. Boom, I see that. But that's the software side. But between monitoring all the specs of the PC, plus I hit a couple buttons and it switches over to the notebook, which I never realized how slow Windows XP actually was. Really, honestly. I've been running this computer for 9 months. I fired up this notebook and I'm like, oh my goodness. It took me like 5 minutes to boot up just into Windows. So needless to say, that don't get shut off now. I mentioned in that PC, I was going to turn around and try to make a Skype client, so that later on, after I get into doing more and more, if I become popular and people want to Skype and do dual comm and everything else, I was trying to make that a Skype client. Not sure if I can do it, because I sat there last night, thought about it. If I have the audio split between this PC and the notebook, there's no problem. But the people that I would be talking to would be hearing my gameplay as well as theirs. Now, I know that might not be a problem. I don't know. But then I had to figure out, okay, the audio of me talking, that's why I should have said, the audio of me talking is going to get split between the PC and the notebook. I can have the internal speakers produce the sound and have my microphone pick it up, or I can have it mix into the mixer. Mixing it into the mixer is no problem. It's the idea that I might get loop back. So I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I'm going to check it out, send out some feelers, do some Google research. If not, Skype isn't that big of a program. I might just run it on this PC just to kill it. So, all right. Well, that's been it for the hardware. And like I said, if I adjust something, change cables or whatnot, get a better view for you guys, I shall do that. So, see you next time when we turn around and talk about the software that is needed or you can use. So, this has been WLJK. I shall catch you guys later.